It's realignment season, and there's nobody who would rather be talking realignment than Matt Stepp, who joins us live from Canada. Stepp, it's cold down here. I imagine it's colder up there.
Yes, the snow plows are out. We had a little snow last night, and we're it's Canada. What do you expect, right?
You've got the alignments. You've seen what the UIL has done in the 2020-22 UIL realignment. I'm interested. What is your headline from what you're seeing from these alignments?
There's a lot of really interesting nuggets, and I've only been able to dig into them for about 18 minutes, but I've jotted down a few quick notes. I think in 6A, especially in the Metroplex, there wasn't a ton of change. It was pretty chalky. The UIL, in something that I think is rare, kind of stuck with what they did last year for the most part, minus a few changes here and there. I think in 6A, the biggest thing that stands out to me is Region 4 with the multiple 6-team districts. I mean, you've got a couple of 10-team districts there in Metro San Antonio, and then you go, outside of San Antonio, you got 2 6-team districts in the South Texas, and then a 6-team district in Metro San Antonio. That actually works out really well for West Texas, because I think that third 6-team district in Region 4, the Steele Judson district, gives the far West Texas district a reasonable scheduling partner to schedule those 4th and 5th non-district games. So I imagine if you're Clint Hartman and Midland Legacy, or Dusty Ortiz at Odessa High, you're pretty happy about a reasonable scheduling partner to try to find those last 2 non-district games.
I'm interested as far as what has really surprised you. What in looking over these for the last 19 minutes or so, what has really surprised you about this particular alignment?
Alito and Denton Ryan being in the same district, I think, is really a surprise. Did not see that one coming at all, but that's gonna be a lot of fun. And you look at a team like Azle, you got to be just looking at looking at realignment, shaking your head. You thought you might have one of them, but now you got to deal with both of them in districts. So that's going to be a challenge. I think East Texas moving over to Region 2 and 5A Division 2 was a bit of a surprise for me. I think we expected the state champions in 4A and 3A to be paired together, so that was not a huge surprise. I think we both predicted that in some of our mocks. I think in Graham and Wichita Falls Hershey, you look in 4A Division 2, Graham and Wichita Falls Hershey having to travel all the way to Midland for district games. That was something I did not see coming. That was a huge surprise when I saw that. I thought there was a chance that Snyder and maybe Sweetwater would go with Graham and Hershey, but I did not think Greenwood would get thrown into that as well. So that's really going to increase the travel budget there. And then, Carthage moving to Region 2 was a stunner. I thought Carthage was locked into Region 3 once again, so that was a surprise. If you look at 3A Division 1, a rarity in 3A Division 1, a 9-team district in 3A Division 1. You don't usually see that, and that's District 7. It's Grandview is in there, and then you have several of the Dallas charter schools that have recently started playing football. So you don't see those 9-team districts in the smaller levels very much. And I think the other thing, the UIL, talking to Dr. Elza, they had, we talked about 14 districts and that kind of thing. And I think the UIL made a real effort to try to not have 14 districts as much as possible. And you look at it on the whole, and unless I missed one, I only count 2 14 districts in the entire realignment. That's District 16 4A Division 2 and District 1 3A Division 2. And those are on the far extremes in the state of Texas. So I'll be interested to see how those 2 districts tackle their non-district schedule, because trying to find 7 non-district games is going to be really, really challenging. So I think the UIL did a great job in trying to limit the 14 districts as much as possible, because no one likes those.
All right, let me ask you another question here. As far as when we're taking a look at the UIL realignments, you can find them up on TexasFootball.com right now. There's going to be a lot of talk about state champions paired together, with most notably 5-4A Division 1 with Stephenville and China Spring in the same district, and then in, I believe 11-3A Division 1 with Lorena and Franklin in the same district. Do either of those surprise you as much of maybe a shock as it is?
No, I won't pat myself on the back too much, because I got a lot of things wrong in my mock realignment, but I did get those right. I did have Stephenville and China Spring paired to the same district, and I did have Lorena and Franklin paired to the same district. What surprised me in 4A Division 1 was Brownwood not being included in that district. They got shipped further west into a real travel district there with Lubbock Estacado, San Angelo, Lakeview, Big Spring, and Andrews. I mean, that's a long road trip for Brownwood to have to go to Andrews and Lubbock. The Lions are going to be putting some miles in. So that was the surprise when looking at 4A Division One, was not Stephenville and China Spring being together, but Brownwood not being paired with Stephenville. I'm assuming those two are going to find a way to play in non-district though.
Talking with Matt Stepp here, our Dave Campbell's Texas Football High School Football Insider here on Texas Football Today, UIL Realignment Special. Get involved in the conversation, hashtag TF Today. Let me ask you, Stepp, there's, of course, big-time changes as far as classifications are concerned. I'll start with this question. Is there any, you mentioned Aledo in with Denton Ryan. We're going to talk with Tim Buchanan coming up here in just a few minutes. I'm interested, are there teams that are either moving up or moving down that you think had a pretty hard landing into their new classification? Are there any teams that change classifications that you think got a pretty darn tough draw?
I would say for sure Cleveland. I mean, this is a team that's really grown really quickly and has struggled even in Class 5A. And now you look at it, and now they're in a district with the Woodlands, College Park, a vastly improving New Caney squad, and a brand new Grand Oaks squad that's fared pretty well their first couple of years in 6A. So for me, Cleveland and also Waller. I mean, you look at Waller, and they got thrown in with the Klein schools and the Tomball schools. 2 years ago, Tomball Memorial had a great run to the third round of the playoffs, and last year Tomball gets to go to the semifinals. And then you always have Klein Oak and Klein Kane and Klein Collins, always very, very tough opponents as well. So I would say Cleveland and Waller right off the bat, just at first glance, had a pretty hard landing. Just with the way things went. I think if you look at softer landings, I think if I'm Argyle, I'm really happy with this alignment. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're moving up to Class 5A, but I think they got a pretty good draw. Carrollton, Creekview, the Frisco schools, Lake Dallas, Denton. I think if I'm Todd Rogers, I'm really pleased with this alignment because I think it's going to allow them a chance to adjust to Class 5A very quickly and have some success, especially being in Region 1. You look at 5A Division 2, Region 1, I mean, why not? Argyle could very easily be one of the favorites in this region because you look at the region top to bottom, there's not a lot of powerhouses in that region. So I think if you look at a softer landing, I think the first one that jumps to mind is Argyle.
Argyle, I would say, is certainly a soft landing, although they will have to deal with teams like Wichita Falls Rider, Grapevine, Colleyville Heritage at some point. I look at a team like Highland Park. Highland Park moving up to Class 6A, they land in with the Irving schools and the Richardson schools. That feels like a pretty soft landing as well, as far as, they could have got sent to Rockwall. They could have got sent a few different places. Landing there seems tough. I would also throw out there, one thing I think is interesting, Stepp, and we'll break this down a lot on Tep and Stepp, our premium high school football podcast, which we're recording a little bit later today. I think what you saw in 5A Division 1 with a bit of an abandoned ship in Region 2 is very interesting. That Denton Ryan is out. College Station is out. A&M Consolidate, was already a D2 school. But those programs, they've kind of bailed out of Region 2. In comes teams like Port Arthur, Memorial, and Crosby. But I would say that maybe the power 5A Division 1 Region 2 is no longer the power nexus that it was in the last alignment.
No, I think that the power at the top of the bracket has shifted over to Region 1 because you've got obviously Aledo and Denton Ryan. I think Abilene High is going to be a factor in the region. You've already got Tascosa and Lubbock Coronado out there in West Texas, and I think a team like Killeen Shoemaker and Lake Belton will be teams to be accounted for. Lake Belton's a new school, but they've got a lot of talent and they've been successful early on. I think Lake Belton is a team that could have some early success, a la Shadow Creek, Peyto in recent years. So it is a little weird for me to look at a regional alignment and see LaPorte in Region 2, not going to lie. Yeah. But that's just the way things have shifted because you look down at Region 4 and you look at Region 4 in 5A Division 1 and you've got, I think we've talked about this a few times, the Rio Grande Valley, a team like Edinburgh Vela could easily win Region 4. Yeah. When you look at the setup in Region 4, Edinburgh Vela is going to be a team that you really have to account for in Region 4 because of the setup. I mean, you look at Bernie Champion's a Region 3 school now. When have we ever considered Bernie a team that's in Region 3 or San Antonio MacArthur that's in Region 3? So very interesting setup in 5A Division 1 with the shift in demographics and the shift in schools and where the growth patterns are in the state of Texas.
A couple more questions. There were some tweeners kind of in between regions that we were wondering where exactly they would land. One of them is Abilene going out west. They're going to land with the Lubbock schools and the Amarillo schools. Another one is Lufkin. Lufkin going north to John Tyler, Tyler, got to get used to that, and Longview, as well as teams like McKinney North there as well. I'm interested if those teams that we've been kind of keeping an eye on because they're always in that. Another team was Mason. Mason, we wondered if they were going to move out of Region 4 into a Division 1. Did any of those catch you by surprise?
So Abilene, I think I picked Abilene to go west into the Metroplex, but I'm not totally surprised. Go east into the Metroplex. So I'm not totally surprised that they went west, though. It was kind of a 50-50 deal. I guessed wrong. They had them going east into the Metroplex, but not a huge surprise there. I projected Lufkin to be in the Metroplex. I just didn't think there was room in Houston for Lufkin. And if you look at the three Houston districts in 5A Division 1, there's really not room for them. They're all big districts. So I thought Lufkin was pretty much a lock to go back with into the Metroplex and with Longview and Tyler. I am very surprised McKinney North was thrown into that district because from McKinney to Lufkin is a haul, and there's not really an easy way to get there. So I think if you're looking at someone who drew a short straw from a travel standpoint in 5A Division 1, it's probably McKinney North. I was very surprised by that.
Yeah.
And I'm a little surprised that College Station and A&M Consolidated went into Austin. It's not unreasonable from a travel standpoint, but I thought College Station and A&M Consolidated might kind of be more with the North Houston schools. And so looking at them in District 11, 5A Division 1, a little surprised that they got aligned with the Austin area. But that's going to make for a fun district when you have college, because College Station and A&M Consolidated, Cedar Park, Georgetown, rapidly improving Eastview, and Hendrickson and Glenn are always teams to keep an eye on as well. So I think that district's going to be a really fun one to watch there in Region 3.
Finally, a question from a viewer. We're interested if, you put your mock realignments up on TexasFootball.com, but you're also, you're trying to project it right, but you're also a fan, and you're a fan of good Texas high school football. Is there anything that you were maybe hoping would happen from just a quality of play? I'm interested in seeing that perspective that didn't.
That's a great question. I would say I was kind of hoping that just from a storyline standpoint that Highland Park might get sent south into the Duncanville DeSoto district. Just from I think the storylines there would be really rich. So a little surprised. A little disappointed that didn't happen. Even though I'm not surprised that Highland Park, geographically, their alignment makes a lot of sense. So from that standpoint, maybe a little bit disappointed on that one. I think the thing I'm most disappointed for is I feel bad for the north side and northeast schools in San Antonio. Those 10-team districts are really tough, and I was hoping the UIL would find a way to split them up a little more evenly, but unfortunately for those schools it didn't happen. So you're going to have I think some real quality teams in District 28 and 29 that are out of the playoff mix just because of the size of those districts.
He's Matt Stepp. You can, of course, get more of his insights on Tepp and Stepp, our premium high school football podcast, coming up here a little bit later today. We're going to sit there and talk for hours and hours and hours about realignment. That's going to go up on TexasFootball.com. And, of course, you can see his insights on TexasFootball.com. We'll be breaking it down all offseason. Stepp, appreciate your time. Stay warm, my friend.
You guys be good. Don't work too hard.
Well, we're already here. We drove through the snow to get here.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you would like more and to be notified when they come out, go ahead and click that subscribe button right down there. You can also watch Texas Football Today every day live at noon on TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, and right here on YouTube. For more of the best coverage of Texas football in the Lone Star State, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe.